There is a new thinking and international recognition that an effective campaign against corruption reduces poverty, prevents conflicts, protects the environment, promotes economic prosperity, and guarantees the enjoyment of political and social stability. Given the reality, our generation has witnessed corruption of catastrophic proportions. It has undermined our country's growth and prosperity twice over. Our generation is that generation that has witnessed and experienced the effect of few people siphoning away resources from their intended purposes for personal interests. We have seen our people die en masse from disease, poverty, and war on a scale that shocks the conscience of the rest of the world. Our generation is that generation that has witnessed vaccines being diverted. Vaccines. School supplies not delivered to their intended beneficiaries. Cosmetic constructions taking place everywhere. And worst of all, we have seen for ourselves the damage that Ebola caused us because our health system was not prepared. Something which can be ascribed to corruption. We have hungry stomachs everywhere, standing on fertile soils. We are suffering from want when we have plenty everywhere. This paradox is the reality of our generation, and we have to do something about it. In my recent travels around the country, I witnessed and experienced firsthand the corrosive impact of corruption on the lives of the poor and the resulting sharp decline of trust that citizens have for the political class and elites. Make no mistake, when we returned from our travel as a commission, we had a decision firmly made to do something about this. The president has declared war on corruption, and we are going to lead it. And we believe that it is winnable. There is now a serious siege around the citadel of corruption, and the assault on the forces that stand to protect it has started. From Freetown to Kwendu, from Cambia to Bond, the war bells have sounded, and there can neither be retreat nor surrender. The goal is to put our country on a sustained trajectory of good governance. Good governance is a necessary and sufficient condition to effectively combat corruption. In fact, states that have provided very effective, that have been proved to be very effective in the fight against corruption, have scored highest in good governance indices. To my mind, good governance is the unhindered operation of the rule of law, the effective prevention of corruption, respect for separation of powers, the promotion of fundamental human rights, and crucially, securing the existence of the judiciary and its independence. The TRC report lists instruments of good governance as follows: equitable laws, efficient institutions, due processes, and humane practices that lead to such desired ends as security, justice, enhanced livelihood, and democratic participation. It is my settled view that the democratic good governance would only be actualized when institutions are made the cornerstone of governance. So, we are going to fit into the approach of radical transparency in the fight against corruption. It constitutes a comprehensive method of fighting corruption, which shall focus on 8 pillars: public awareness, anti-corruption strategies, public participation, watchdog agencies, the judiciary, the media, the private sector, and ensure international cooperation. It is my view that institutions are central to the wealth and poverty of nations. And Sierra Leone certainly needs that to be secured. More than geography, weather, technology, or culture, institutions constitute the basic strategic foundation and proximate determinants of economic, social, and political transformation in the developing world. This interface should involve institutional interfaces between the public, private, and community actors. These strategic foundations will provide the bedrock for facilitating collaborative and participative policy decisions-making and enhancing the effectiveness, responses, and resilience of the state in the fragile political system such as Sierra Leone. The right nexus between national institutions of governance and human will to change their own story shall account for the remarkable transformation that countries undergo. Singapore, Malaysia, Ghana, Botswana, Cape Verde. These are countries where people decided by their own will that they will change the trajectory of their countries for the better. We have to decide. Within the matrix of radical transformation, there is no going backwards. We must all ensure that greater transparency drives and prevention that uncover corruption in Sierra Leone are promoted and protected by the citizenry. In this vein, we call to action the public officers of this country, civil society. We call to action the private sector and the international community to a new direction that drives on citizens' demand for transparency and accountability. A direction that draws on all partners and available tools. Our approach will build on what we call a radical transformative agenda that recognizes inevitable global acceleration of transparency in public sector. We call on us to commit to this and fight for it as a country. Business cannot be as usual. Going forward, we shall push for more transformation and greater transparency involving public funds. We must now ensure that the right amounts of monies reach the right people on time, transparently, and with accountability. We as a people must stand ready for this trajectory. The ACC is going to work with you. It is a people's commission. We are accountable to the people of Sierra Leone. Our hope is that we can strengthen the prevention systems of the ACC to make sure we do not wait for corruption to happen before the ambulances come running in. We should not wait for resources to be siphoned before we come and spend years prosecuting. We want to build and embed systems and processes that prevent them from happening from start. We are calling on you to join us in this. We cannot do it by ourselves. We don't have the full capacity required. We do not have the manpower. There are only about 200 staff countrywide. We need an army of people who believe in their hearts that change can be brought about by their own actions, not wait for ready-made approaches to be imported for them. The country has suffered. The people have suffered. Everywhere we advertise poverty, yet we pride ourselves for being a rich country. The time is now. Now is the time to turn aspirations into action. When we say zero tolerance for corruption, now is the time for us to demonstrate same. Corruption is the urgency of now and the emergency of Sierra Leone. As a nation, our generation must take collective action against the cancer of corruption. Now is the time to stand up and be counted. Now is the time for our generation to save the soul of the nation after itself suffering. And we can do this where each of us becomes a one-man statement, a one-woman statement of accountability, of transparency, and the resolve to change our own story. I thank you all. What do I say?
Yes, thank you. Oh, yes.